Donald Trump's White House isn't just drowning in chaos. It has turned into a full-blown free-for-all. Everyone is looking out for themselves. The administration is being ripped apart by competing interests, clashing agendas, and people scrambling to protect their own ambitions. And the most damaging result of that internal collapse is what we witnessed this morning. Trump's own chief of staff, Susie Wiles, went on the record in multiple interviews and completely torched Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and the entire cabinet. In doing so, she also blew the lid off the Epstein list and exposed the Epstein lie Trump has been desperately trying to keep buried. We're going to break down this massive new bombshell, but before we do, I just want to quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our content, hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps support the work we do. Now, before we dig into exactly what Wiles admitted about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, revealing the secret he's been covering up all along, it's important to start with why this is happening at all. And the reason is simple. Donald Trump is so wildly unpopular that even his own chief of staff is now throwing him directly under the bus. Rachel Maddow laid all of this out perfectly right here.
$2 or $3 is nice, but you do not need $37. Now, on to... yeah, you really did say that. And, red states don't like that either. And that's the local nightly news in Oklahoma. Things aren't going great, my dude. In the latest AP polling, Trump is minus 36 on the economy. 31% of the country approves of Trump on the economy. 67% disapproves. So Trump on the economy is underwater by 36 points. On healthcare, it's even worse. He's underwater by 40 points. And that poll ended before today, which is the deadline for people to sign up for their health plans under the ACA, which is tens of millions of people in this country. And those plans, the prices of those plans, the premium costs are skyrocketing in price because of what Trump and the Republicans did in his so-called big, beautiful bill. What they did to destroy healthcare premiums in terms of how expensive they are. What they did, that overt policy change they made that costs everybody's health insurance premiums to go through the roof, that starts hitting people officially today. Trump and the Republicans caused it. They have not been able to fix it. And Trump is already 40 points underwater on healthcare even before that starts hitting people. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. And frankly, all of it that points back to the Trump administration and its own actions right now is basically a debacle. Right? We're going to talk about the huge mess and very public failures at the FBI in just a couple of minutes. But beyond that, at the VA, we've got the Trump administration cutting 35,000 healthcare jobs. Because Merry Christmas, veterans, that's what Donald Trump and the Republicans think of veterans' healthcare. They are cutting 35,000 doctors and nurses and other healthcare jobs at the VA. Merry Christmas. At FEMA, which has not exactly been distinguishing itself under the Trump administration, ask Texas, Trump is now putting in charge of the key emergency response division there, the Office of Response and Recovery. Trump is putting in charge of that a man who has no discernible emergency response experience whatsoever. But he is a guy who said the election was stolen from Trump not only in 2020, but also in 2016. Now, you may recall, 2016 is an election Trump won. But this guy says that one was also stolen from Trump, even though Trump won it. Now his reward is that Trump is putting him in charge of running response and recovery for the U.S. federal government at FEMA. That's going to be real popular, too, I'm sure.
This is a historically unpopular president. That is what Donald Trump is right now. He came into this administration trying to convince us, and doing so when it came to the mainstream media, of course, the corporate media, business leaders, big institutions like universities who were willing to bend the knee, people on Wall Street. Donald Trump got them to believe that he was inevitable, that he was all powerful, that he won some sweeping cultural mandate and America loved him. But we knew that that was never the case. And Donald Trump was only going to get more unpopular, and it was going to happen quickly. That is exactly what has happened. Not just because he is an idiot who doesn't understand the economy and has purposely broken it to serve himself and billionaires. Not just because he's throwing tens of millions of people off of their health care or the Epstein files. There is just so much more when it comes to criminality and cover-ups that has Donald Trump in this position, where Susie W.S., his chief of staff, the woman who was supposed to hold it all together, is now breaking apart Trump's administration into little bitty factions when he's calling out Elon, he's calling out Stephen Miller, she's calling out Donald Trump, and doing so in the worst way possible. Talking about the Epstein files, Susie Wiles confirms Trump is in the Epstein files. They were young single playboys together. Wiles also torched Pam Bandy for her handling of the Epstein matter and described J.D. Vance as a longtime conspiracy theorist. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles confirmed that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files, claiming the late sex offender and Trump were young single playboys together in wide-ranging interviews with Vanity Fair. While also torched Attorney General Pam Bandy for her handling of the Department of Justice investigation into Epstein. During the sit-downs, the Florida-born chief of staff, whom Trump calls the Ice Maiden, said she misjudged the importance of the scandal surrounding Epstein. Wiles, who also managed Trump's 2024 campaign, told Vanity Fair she has read what she described as the Epstein file. In an extraordinary and lengthy profile in Vanity Fair, Wiles blasted the decision to hand over the Epstein files to MAGA influencers in February. As well as Bandy claimed to Fox News that the so-called Epstein list was sitting on my desk for review. I think the most critical detail in the entire Epstein discussion is Susie Wiles stating that she has read the file. That matters, because we already know what this file contains: photos, videos, and flight logs. And Susie Wiles confirmed that Donald Trump's name appears in those flight logs, that he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane multiple times. And remember, when those logs were first released, Donald Trump crossed out his own name but left Ivanka Trump's name visible, which tells you exactly the kind of person he is, someone willing to throw even his own daughter under the bus. But here's what that tells me. When Susie Wiles says she's read the Epstein file, she could not possibly have reviewed every email, every document, every flight log, every piece of evidence, seen every photo, watched every video, and gone through all the prison records. That would be impossible. What it does tell me is that there is a separate Epstein file specifically labeled Donald Trump. That is the file the FBI and DOJ have been compiling. That's why hundreds of FBI agents were pulled in, working thousands of overtime hours, combing through Epstein-related materials to locate every document, every photo, every video that mentioned Donald Trump, so they could strike it, hide it, and cover it up. That is the Epstein file. That is the secret list Susie Wiles is referring to. That is the file she has read. Did she read every single page of it? I don't know. There are countless references to Donald Trump throughout the Epstein records. But we do know that Trump was sat down in the Oval Office by Pam Bandy and Kash Patel. At the very least, those two. And there's no logical reason his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, wouldn't have been present for that meeting. And he was told directly, you are in the Epstein files. Of course, Trump already knew that. because of his relationship with Epstein. Susie Wiles has read the file that lays out Donald Trump's crimes, his criminal exposure, and his involvement with Epstein. That's what she's read, and that's what she was willing to publicly acknowledge. And if that is what she's willing to share, imagine what she's holding back. If she was comfortable throwing Pam Bandy under the bus, calling her a screw-up, an idiot, and a failure, imagine what she's not saying about what Pam Bandy did, what Donald Trump did, and what Kash Patel did. She even admitted that Elon Musk is a ketamine addict, a drug addict, and she said it openly. So imagine what she's still covering up for this administration. It's insane, but it will all continue to come out in court, exactly as Jamie Raskin laid out right here.
The same judges who refused to waive the 6E protections for those materials are now saying that under the federal law passed by Congress, they must turn it over with dispatch without any delay while protecting the privacy and the confidentiality of the victims. So these judges are very strictly implementing the legislative intent behind the statute.
We're seeing today Donald Trump try to run that play again that he tried to run in the Epstein file 6 months ago, telling reporters that story's dead, that story's over. He's trying to do the same thing now with that second missile strike that some legal experts are calling murder in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about self-protection. The same kinds of things he, of course, accused other presidents of doing, he's actually doing. It's a massive projection, and it's the same thing here. I mean, he was the one who went out with all of his people and said, we want to see the full Epstein files. They're the ones who promoted the whole QAnon story about a power elite trafficking in children and human flesh. And what do you know? That power elite is the one that Donald Trump knew integrally well because he was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. And the truth is going to come out now under this law. And there is a tremendous momentum behind the disclosure, not just of the grand jury records, but of all of the discovery materials. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of documents that are going to be released.
You know, I keep flashing forward these days, and I'm flashing forward a year, which I shouldn't do. I shouldn't try to be predictive in politics, especially in this era. But with all the polls indicating that the Democrats are going to win the House of Representatives in the next election, I'm imagining that year from now, when you're taking over the chairmanship of the House Judiciary Committee, and what you would have the power to investigate, including what is going on with all the contracts that are being awarded in the immigration sector and the imprisoning of people involved in all of these immigration maneuvers that the Trump administration is doing. You will be in the position to conduct those investigations.
Well, let's hope so. Of course, I'm out on the road every weekend, Lawrence. I'm in Ohio, Florida, Texas, New Jersey. We're campaigning hard, and these amazing victories you're seeing around the country are just the beginning. They're the groundswell that is going to hit a tidal wave crest in November of next year. So we're just building now.
There is nothing left that Donald Trump can do to hide what's happening. The cover-up is collapsing. The lies are unraveling. His administration itself is coming apart. None of this is sustainable, and it is not going to work. And that's exactly why now more than ever, especially with the Friday deadline to release the full Epstein file, we have to keep pushing. That is what we're going to continue doing on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.